Speak to Harry Wilkinson now, who is Head of Policy at the Global Warming Policy Foundation. This is about the story that Ed Miliband, the Net Zero Secretary, isolated as the EU prepares to abandon a petrol car ban. The ban would have required a 100% fall in passenger vehicle carbon emissions by 2035. That would effectively ban new petrol and diesel cars from sales, including hybrids. But now we have Manfred Weber, who is head of the European Parliament's biggest group of MEPs, saying that the requirement would now be reduced to 90% and that a total ban had been taken off the table. Bit of a slap on the face for those who say net zero is everything, like Ed Miliband, Harry.
Well, exactly. And on the face of it, this is, a modest change to the policy, but I think its wider significance is very clear because, for a long time we've seen this absolutist policy heading towards a ban completely on petrol and diesel vehicles by 2035, and that has been absolutely devastating for the car industry in Europe. It's had the arrogance to think it could just change from producing conventional vehicles to electric vehicles and continue its high sales. But of course, when it comes to top-down government targets, it's very difficult to plan the economy that way, and the companies haven't been able to deliver. They haven't been able to sell nearly as many EVs as they were hoping. The German car industry in particular has been collapsing. If we think the economy is struggling here in the UK, which it is, we should look at Germany, which is facing an even more devastating crisis as its manufacturing sectors go into decline. The car industry is a big part of that.
It must be very difficult for the car. It must be very difficult for the car industry, Harry, because if the goalposts keep shifting here, and you've got to plan these things well in advance when it comes to materials, manufacturing, workforce, all that kind of stuff. And if they're being told right now it's 2035, now it's 2030, we've got this review as well, the government a review penciled in for 2027. The Shadow Energy Secretary, Claire Coutinho, saying rather than banning, taxing and forcing people into electric cars, the government should get out of the way and back consumer choice. That's why we have to repeal the net zero legislation, cut people's electricity bills by 20% with the cheap power plan the Tories have, she says, and allow people to use that cheap electricity to buy the products they want to when they want to. There's quite a lot in that.
She's absolutely right. I mean, the bigger picture here is that the UK is becoming increasingly isolated. There is now a growing global movement to push back some of these net zero targets, which have been doing so much harm. But Ed Miliband is sticking out with his, ultra-aggressive net zero agenda. He isn't incorporating that pragmatism that we're now seeing in the EU, that we're seeing in many other parts of the world. And so Britain is now alone, facing these really draconian net zero targets, and all the time our industries are really in decline. We're losing many jobs. We've been promised all these green jobs, but the reality is that across our manufacturing sectors, we are losing many more jobs than we are gaining in the green sectors.
Harry, thank you. That's Harry Wilkinson, who's Head of Policy at the Global Warming Policy Foundation. A government spokesman said, "We remain committed to phasing out all new non-zero emission cars and van sales by 2035.